The third and final, thankfully final, presidential debate is now over, and it can now be said Hillary Clinton has crushed Donald Trump in the most effective series of debates we've seen in modern presidential history. It wasn't even close.
In fact, one of the prides of this country is the peaceful transition of power, and that no matter how hard fought a campaign is, that at the end of the campaign, that the loser concedes to the winner. Not saying that you're necessarily going to be the loser or the winner, but that the loser concedes to the winner and that the country comes together in part for the good of the country. Are you saying you're not prepared now to commit to that principle?
What I'm saying is that I will tell you at the time. I'll keep you in suspense.
Well,
okay?
Chris, let me respond to that because that's...
What she did here is actually visible in the polling. On the eve of the first presidential debate, she was up by 1.5 points. By the second, she was up by 5.6. By the third, it was over 7 points. That is a huge lead, and not a normal one. Most presidential debates actually don't move the polls. It's very rare, if you look at the political science here, to find a debate series that actually has an enduring effect on the shape of the race. These ones did. Now the way Clinton won is non-traditional. It's not the way we're used to candidates winning. We're used to candidates winning because they themselves just did a good job. They delivered a brutal zinger. They just killed it on the answers. And Clinton did some of that. But the real way she won, the real achievement here, and it is one of the most stunning political achievements in modern campaigning, was that she figured out her opponent's weaknesses and goaded him into basically completely collapsing.
To replenish the Social Security Trust Fund.
She and her campaign analyzed Donald Trump, figured out what it was they could exploit, and then relentlessly, ruthlessly did so. You can see it begin in the first debate. She just started calling him Donald.
Donald, it's good to be with you.
Nobody really knows why Donald Trump hates the sound of his first name so much, but he does. He immediately tries to shame Clinton into referring to him with more respect.
Secretary Clinton, yes? Is that okay? Good. I want you to be very happy. It's very important to me.
Clinton isn't having it. And this really sets up the way all these debates will go. Trump every time begins calm, cool, collected. He gives answers that sound quasi-presidential.
Well, the D.C. versus Heller decision was very strongly, and she was extremely angry about it.
But pretty quickly, Clinton gets under his skin. She needles him, she goads him, she makes fun of the fact that he got his business started with a loan from his father. She attacks whether or not he's actually that rich, whether or not he pays taxes. And every time, Trump just begins taking the bait and taking the bait and taking the bait. There's something for him about being attacked and even humiliated by a woman on national television that he absolutely cannot handle. And so at about the 30-minute mark in every single debate, he just begins to lose it.
No puppet, no puppet.
And it's pretty clear.
You're the puppet.
It's pretty clear you won't admit that the Russians.
He becomes less coherent. He's not able to focus on the questions he's asked. He instead goes back to things Clinton said about him a while back. He just tries to throw any attacks he can think of up against her. It's a bad look for him. It would be a bad look for anyone. But it really, really shows the effectiveness of her strategy. But the big way in which she managed to dominate these debates was that at the first debate, she sparked a meltdown in Trump that weeks later, he was still working his way through. And it came here at the end.
And one of the worst things he said was about a woman in a beauty contest. He loves beauty contests, supporting them and hanging around them. And he called this woman Miss Piggy. Then he called her Miss Housekeeping because she was Latina. Donald, she has a name.
Where did you find
her
this?
name
Where
is
did you find
Alicia
this?
Machado.
Where did you find
and
it?
she has become a U.S. citizen, and you can bet she's going to vote this November.
Okay, good.
That Alicia Machado trap, and it was a trap. They had a web video ready. They had a whole press tour for Alicia Machado. That Alicia Machado play, that was the beginning of the conversation over Donald Trump's language and treatment of women. It was the context for the leaked Access Hollywood tape that came out later. It was a context for the sexual harassment claims that came out later. It forced Trump into a corner. He was so angry that he began trying to lash back in any way he could think of, ways that were completely non-strategic. An example was in the next debate, right before it, he held a press conference with 3 women who'd accused Bill Clinton of assaulting them. Whatever you think of the Bill Clinton assault allegations, this was an insane strategy. He should have been preparing for the debate. He should have been on his own message. He should have been finding a weakness of Hillary Clinton's. Instead, he did something that not only made no sense, but scared other Republicans about whether or not he was truly figuring out a way to turn this race around. It was a disaster for him, and a disaster Clinton and the Clinton campaign goaded him into. In every debate, Clinton has managed to both push Trump into nonsense and mistakes, while being herself prepared, clear, calm, disciplined, and cautious. In that way, she created a preparation gap between the two candidates. Trump would be there really offering just total nonsense, gibberish answers. And then Clinton would basically exhale an entire briefing book of knowledge. Trump's campaign bragged a little bit about how little the candidate was preparing for the debates, but in the end it really hurt him. And Clinton's over-preparation, her tendency to know absolutely everything on a topic, a tendency that often makes people mock her a bit, see her as robotic, see her as over-prepared. It really worked here. It really showed that one of these candidates knew something about the issues facing the country, and the other didn't. Look, it's easy to underestimate what happened here. It's easy now to look back and think of Trump's total collapse as completely inevitable. But remember, Trump triumphed in debate after debate against a 16-person Republican field that included what many thought were some of the most talented Republican politicians in generations, politicians who had been in many debates before, who were experienced, who were skilled, who were effective. He was good at bullying them, at taking over the stage. He had a macho, insulting, blustering demeanor that really worked particularly against other male politicians.
Pretty from an elderly woman.
Let me talk. Quiet.
Somehow Clinton short-circuited all of that. He was not able to ever get his footing in the debates. She kept him completely off balance. She attacked him in ways that worked and upset him, as opposed to ways which you saw over and over again in the Republican debates that strengthened him and made the attackers look bad. She was able to use her gender and his chauvinism and his weaknesses and her discipline to put him into trap after trap that he never figured out a way out of. Trump is losing, and he's losing in part because he himself is a flawed, vulnerable candidate. But Clinton is winning because she had a strategy, a fairly high-risk strategy, actually. And she executed it, she stuck to it, she did it in every single debate, and it actually worked. This is not the way we're used to seeing candidates win debates. We're used to seeing them win debates because of how they performed, not because of how they were able to trap their opponent into performing. But the fact that this is a non-traditional kind of win, a win that relies on Clinton's unique skills and characteristics and not the things we're used to from other politicians, that doesn't make it less impressive. It makes it more impressive. After 3 debates, Donald Trump's campaign is in smoking ruins. And that's because Hillary Clinton turned in a truly effective, strategic, and ruthless performance.